So what to make of these Spurs rumors?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Monday and welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. And we're going to start things right here on Locked On Spurs for your work week. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast. You know where to go. Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Pick a platform. We are there. Don't forget the Locked On Spurs newsletter. If you are on the YouTube side of things, it's in the description below. Can't make it easy for you than what I just literally write there. LO Spurs newsletter. Click on that. It is completely free. So what are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at the Spurs rumors, mainly the Jimmy Butler and De'Aaron Fox rumors. So yes, the Spurs name has been thrown out there in the Jimmy Butler thing. We all know about De'Aaron Fox. Should the Spurs pursue either of those two guys, or should they just wait till the offseason? We're going to be discussing that and then previewing tonight's game, Spurs and Bulls. Spurs start their road trip in Chicago. Hopefully they'll get it on the right foot. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Yeah, look, we're getting closer to that point of the NBA season, trade season. Everybody's favorite, who's moving where, who's going this way, what team is getting this player, blah, blah, blah. We all know we've all been through it before. Well, the Spurs, the team's name has been popped up in a couple of rumors, Jimmy Butler and De'Aaron Fox. And it seems to be more pursued with De'Aaron Fox, but there's Jimmy Butler now. It's very loose, but nevertheless, he is available. He pretty much burned that bridge in Miami by publicly saying he wants out. So should the Spurs go chase him? We'll discuss that. And then more on the De'Aaron Fox front. Is that the guy maybe the Spurs should chase? Or is there somebody else that the Spurs should be looking at? Because our guest, he's still on the Lauri Markkanen train. That should give it away who's coming up with us right now. He is James Pledger right here on Locked On Spurs, kicking us off for the week. We're doing it properly, James, with you. Kicking off this Monday, man. Well, how you been?
I appreciate that.
You been okay?
Oh, I'm good, my man. You?
Holidays
treat you up?
Yeah, they were fun. I spent it downtown. See the fireworks. Too short, in my opinion. It was.
Well, I heard all of San Antonio was a firework according to social media. So,
yeah, the city just lit up out of one shot. You didn't have to be downtown at all. And actually, you know what I did for New Year's Day? I did a hike. The first hike.
Really? Where at?
Okay, you probably know this, but not a lot of people in San Antonio know that there is a freaking huge state park in the city limits. It's called Government Canyon. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah.
Went to Government Canyon for the first time. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And let me tell you, I was wiped out afterwards, James. Just wiped out. I could barely stay awake when I got back on the couch. Knocked out to bed super early.
You didn't go in the summer.
Well, and then I woke up the next day sore. My hamstrings were just shot.
Just like burning.
Leg, yeah. And of course, I look at the map, I go, oh, how hard could this be? And why does it have a black dot on that? What does that mean? Freaking most challenging one I decided to pick. Why? Why, James? Because it was called the Spurs Trail. It was called Spurs Trail. So.
Had to.
Yeah. What about you, man? Nice, comfy day or?
Yeah. It's been good. Getting ready for the show. Got both the Blitz today from 2 to 6 and then extra innings tonight from 6 to 7 as we get ready for tonight's Spurs game. So, and tonight's opponent, there's a tie-in with tonight's opponent and some of these trade rumors.
Well, let's jump into it. Again, make sure to follow him on X at I Am Pledger. He is with San Antonio Sports Star. He'll brag about that station later on this show. So, James, let's just start off with Jimmy Butler. The Jimmy Butler Spurs connection is loose. There's been little perks here and there about the Spurs. I don't think the Spurs will get involved in that, considering the contract, his age, culture fit. There's so many things. I think the Spurs, if they get involved, maybe just help facilitate some sort of deal, get involved in that way. I don't see the Spurs actively chasing him. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, you brought up earlier, he's kind of worn out his welcome in Miami. He also wore out his welcome in Philadelphia and wore out his welcome in Minnesota and wore out his welcome in tonight's opponent, Chicago. Like Jimmy Butler has a habit of wearing out his welcome at some point with a team, and he's at an advanced age, 34. So there's 1 year, $52 million option left on his contract, and he's a free agent after that. So you've got no real certainty you even have him past this year, and if you do, it's a hefty hit for a 34 going on 35-year-old, all-star. But while I love him, his game, his culture, his mindset, it wears thin after 3 to 5 seasons, usually wherever he's been. I believe he's been in the league 14 years, and I went through the litany of teams, and everything was great until it wasn't at all of those stops, right? Yeah. And so with Jimmy, I don't trust the age, and I don't know if I want to bring that type of personality into a locker room full of a bunch of young kids, or even part with a bunch of great assets, or at least extremely valuable assets in a Jimmy Butler trade because of the short-term nature of it. And
not to mention too, he wants a bag. He pretty much,
Sure.
That's pretty much the big reason why he wants out of Miami. Reports are saying that he didn't like the way the Heat handled the last contract negotiation. Was telling him, I want a bigger bag. Didn't happen.
Literally everything else about him I love, though. He gets after it on defense. He's a great player. He's selfless on the court for the most part. He does the right things, and he'll call you out if you are slacking on defense. These are things that, as Spurs fans, a bunch of people love hearing that when describing a type of player, especially a superstar.
No. Even if it's just base level culture fit, like you brought up, not going to work. I don't think the Spurs are going to chase him. If anything, maybe just get involved to facilitate a deal. If it gets push comes to shove in that situation, with the whole aprons and the financial account, me and most, but that's it.
I don't know if I want to get in that capacity either, unless it was something truly benefiting the Spurs.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on from Jimmy Butler and talk about the big name that still is connected to San Antonio. That is De'Aaron Fox, the Kings All-Star guard. James, this rumor linkage seems to not die. It's always San Antonio's up there. It's San Antonio. It's OKC. It's a fill-in-the-blank team. But whatever report it is, San Antonio's name pops up. Now, this one's interesting because the Spurs have a lot of guards on the roster, from Stephon Castle, Chris Paul, Malachi, Blake Wesley. By the way, does Malachi even play nowadays? When was the last time I seen him play? The list goes on and on. This one has some bite to it. There might be something here. What do you make of this De'Aaron Fox Spurs connection? Why? I could definitely see the Spurs chasing him because he would be an instant 1-2 punch with Wemby. But for some reason, they tell me it might disrupt the rhythm, the flow, who is banana on the team.
I don't think anyone coming to this team doubts what banana they are, or I would hope not anyway. This is Victor Wembanyama's team. It was Victor Wembanyama's team since the day the Spurs won the lottery. They hadn't even drafted him. It was his team at that point in time in May when the lottery balls favored the San Antonio Spurs that day. And
exactly.
If you're not on board with that, you're not going to fit. Now, he does need a running mate. just like, Giannis Antetokounmpo needed freaking Dame Lillard, right? Not Michael Red, Chris,
Middleton?
yeah, Chris Middleton, never going to be the true number 2 on that team, even though they won a championship. Like the true number 2 to Giannis needed to be a bigger player to take away the attention from him. And that's what Victor's going to need at points too. And we've seen it the last couple of days against Denver, and throughout the early part of the season. Like, he's putting up ungodly numbers, but he is also commanding so much attention that, if you have a De'Aaron Fox, an all-star, not even all-star, I'm going to go a step further, an all-NBA type player, what that could now. This is the one part that Spurs fans aren't going to want to hear. It's not just going to take draft picks.
No.
And I don't care what you think of that Atlanta pick. It's not what it was. And, Sacramento's 2031 pick may be more valuable than that Atlanta pick now that's unprotected. If you truly want to get in on the De'Aaron Fox sweepstakes as a Spurs fan, it's going to hurt. You're not parting with an all-NBA player without giving something up.
Yeah. And look, I think De'Aaron Fox would be a great addition to San Antonio. And you're right. It takes money to make money, James, and you're going to have to pay a price. And the thing about it, though, James, the Spurs can't afford the sticker price that Sacramento might ask for. And it might even not even hurt them. Sure,
I think they can afford any price they want. It's do they want to pay it.
No, I agree that, I think they can afford the price, but I can see Steph Castle being kind of a deal breaker for them. I could definitely see that happening.
I would hope so. I told you coming into the draft process how much he was my favorite player through the draft process, after they finally selected him, and so far through the first, 3 months into his rookie year at this point. I mean, he has been everything that I hoped he could be and more as early as he has been. And that arrow is screaming upwards. And the potential of him and Victor Wembanyama defensively is what really intrigues me because of how they play so well together already on the defensive side of the ball. And his offense is still growing just like Victor's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see what the Spurs do, but these are the two big names, at least, well, maybe just one big name, I should say. De'Aaron Fox still reportedly on the Spurs.
Butler's a big name. I don't think that name carries the same weight that it used to, though.
Yeah, exactly. But we're going to be talking more about the Spurs and the trade rumors and what they should do. What about not even doing anything this season and waiting for the offseason? We're going to be talking about that, as well as looking at tonight's game, Spurs and Bulls. We're going to be doing that with James Pledger of San Antonio Sports. Follow him on X at @IamPledger. Hey, let's talk about Prize Picks.
Basketball season is heating up, and there's no better way to get real money action while watching your favorite NBA stars with Prize Picks. Whether you're a diehard fan or just love some friendly competition, Prize Picks makes it fun and easy to turn your basketball knowledge into cash. Here's how it works. Pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Think Wembanyama's going to drop 30 points? Maybe Devin's going to get more than 8 assists? Prize Picks lets you make your predictions and put your money where your mouth is in just 60 seconds. Look, I've been using Prize Picks all season long. It's very addictive. I mean, last week, just pretty much every day, Wemby's going for more than 20 plus points. You got Devin Vassell playing well right now. That's the kind of action I'm talking about. And with Prize Picks Flex Play option, even if one of my picks doesn't hit, I can still double my money. Plus, once I hit, I get my money fast, sometimes as quick as 15 minutes. It's honestly the best way to keep the game exciting. Now's the perfect time to join. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, no need to win to get in on the bonus. It's guaranteed. Price Picks, run your game.
Hey, this is Tom Rod.
And I'm RC from the Cybertron Spurs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with James Pledger of San Antonio Sports. Sir, he is on X at I Am Pledger. Make sure to follow him right now. We're talking about Spurs trades, names that have been thrown out there. You've heard a couple of other names, James. I think
Andrew Nembhard's one of them from the Pacers. They engaged the Pacers for him before the season started as well. So that's another name that they've kind of circled back on. Once again, a young up-and-coming guard, probably below De'Aaron Fox, but he is definitely a young up-and-coming former lottery pick.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe a consolation prize if something doesn't work out with Sacramento and trading for Fox. Wouldn't be that bad with Nembhard coming to San Antonio. But, James, what about this? What if they just wait? What if they just stand pat this upcoming trade deadline and then wait for the offseason? Because a name that you are in love with and you thought you was this close, James, he was this close to becoming a Spur, and that is Lauri Markkanen. Should the Spurs wait? Because after this season, I think he's an unrestricted free agent.
No, he's signed his contract. He signed it past the moratorium, so he's unable to be traded until February 7th because of when he signed his contract. The trade deadline is February 6th, so the earliest he can be moved is in the offseason if Utah were to move him.
So what about that, James? What if the Spurs should revisit that and just go talk to Trader Danny and be like, all right, Trader, we know you like to pull the wool over guys' eyes, but let's talk turkey here. Should the Spurs relook at bringing in Lauri Markkanen?
I would. I've mentioned multiple times when talking about Lauri Markkanen, I think the fit next to Victor Wembanyama, having 2 7-footers that can play outside and inside and take you off the dribble just opens up and unlocks a level to this offense that you can't even predict. And I know Mark's not the greatest defender, but being a 7-footer and having those 2 7-footers patrolling outside it to in and what they can do with help defense. And Mark is a really good help defender. Coming from the weak side and stuff. So like those things are things that I would personally look at because it also gives you another shooter from behind the arc, someone to help space the floor. And I'm really cool with moving on with. Devin, this point would be he's a guy that you can cash in on the upside that still potentially is there and get maximum value for him before that perceived value turns into plateau, which then turns into drop in stock, right?
You'll probably see right now with Keldon, right? Because Keldon, he is ready.
Was for years, Keldon was one of those assets Spurs wanted to build around him. He's the next. He's going to be one of those pieces. And then he's kind of plateaued off on his play. And now, like, we're talking about him as salary filler, or, Spurs fans are at least trying to throw him into every trade as if he's the centerpiece of said trade when he's not. I mean, a lot of these are going to be based around picks, and you're going to have to throw in a player. If you're going to get anything good, you're going to give up something you like. And the one thing I truly, when I think about what this team should do, I kind of like the idea of running it through this season because we saw towards the end of last year how much better this team played as the season went on together. We saw them kind of figure it out after the All-Star break finally. And then even with the injuries at the end of the season, they kind of peaked in how well they have been playing. They're playing better than we expected early this season. They're in the hunt of things. They look like they're getting more comfortable with one another in terms of their roles and what's going on, because look at these last couple of games with Denver. Close win, another close game that you fall in overtime. I think that's a sign of how closely and how much better this team is playing together. And you may make a move, minor, but in terms of really shaking up the apple cart, I don't know if I would want to do that, seeing as you built this team through the draft. Now it's time to figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. And with the Spurs, too, look, no matter what they do, either they just ride it out and finish the season as is, great. They're going to have picks. We'll find out how high the picks are, but we'll just say picks for now. They're going to have players they can flip, and they're going to have, at least as of right now, a pool of free agents that they can pick from. And I think Wemby, the way he's playing right now, will be a draw. So right now, I lean towards waiting for the offseason 2025. This is a deep draft. Wherever the Spurs land, they'll likely get an impact player, not a development player. So I think they'll be good. But overall, that's it. Those are our thoughts. What about y'all? Do y'all think the Spurs should stand pat or chase Butler, Fox, somebody else? Let James know on X at I Am Pleasure. Let me know by simply following the Locked On Spurs YouTube page and subscribing to the Locked On Spurs newsletter. When we get back, we're going to quickly preview tonight's game, Spurs-Bulls. Spurs start a 4-game roadie tonight in Chicago. Hey, let's talk about FanDuel. Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need and the place where to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So you get a hunch in the middle of a game. You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bet. Just visit FanDuel.com right now to join today. By the way, the app is very easy to use, user-friendly. It's very intuitive and not hard to navigate whatsoever. Sign up is easy. Hey, look, NFL action, as mentioned, is underway. NBA action is underway. Your Spurs are underway right now. What more do you need? Go to FanDuel.com right now to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. Again, $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. All that takes is just for you to go and sign up right now. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
As the new leader of the Decepticons, I command you to subscribe to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with James Pleasure of San Antonio Sports Star. Follow him on X at I Am Pleasure. And man, can you believe Starscream made a cameo right now, James?
Awesome. That makes my nerd heart so happy.
Hey, by the way, Starscream, I don't know if you're quite ready to be the leader of the Decepticons. So I don't know what he said right now, but hey, he's whatever it is, Scream. He's not. Hey, James, the Spurs take on the Bulls tonight. First game of a roadie. And I think the Spurs are going to be away from San Antonio for a long time. And, that did come in for like a couple of
in the next 4 or 5 games, if I remember correctly. And we're getting close to the rodeo road trip anyway. So,
I know they played that Memphis series back to back in San Antonio. Then they're gone again for the Paris games. So, got to soak in all the Spurs actually can. But the Spurs commit tonight's game 18-17. Bulls are 16-19. The Spurs are 0-1 versus Chicago this season. The Spurs are coming off a home overtime loss to the Nuggets, 122-111. Wemby was just Wemby again. Double-double, 20 points and 23 rebounds. Harrison Barnes with 22 points. Let's talk about it. I'm looking at Nikola Vučević because what is it about him facing San Antonio? He's averaging 24.4 points per game, 11.4 rebounds per game in his last 5 games versus San Antonio, including a season-high 39 points versus the Spurs in San Antonio this season. James, Nikola just loves playing silver and black, doesn't he?
He does. And, I mean, he's found a way to feast, and he gets a lot of that, remember, on players like Zach Collins, players like Bassie, people that you can take out away from the rim, Mamu Skilishvili, like those are the guys that, he kind of uses more so than he does Wemby, although he will take Wemby down low and try and, muscle him when he plays. So those are things, but, we've seen a lot less of Wemby getting muscled this season like he did last year, especially, the big shiny beacon of that being the Joel Embiid 70-point game. But he's obviously much stronger, got a better base to be able to absorb when people try to take him down there to try and take advantage of him. The one thing he's got to be careful with is fouls when he gets down in that area.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, but Mamu has been working with Wemby pregame, and they're really just bodying him, just slamming his body into Wemby as off as he can, just to get him used to that, that pounding he takes in the middle. So thanks, Manu. You're contributing in other ways outside of the X's and O's. Bad news for the Spurs. The Bulls have won 5 straight games versus the Spurs. So the Bulls have their number of late.
All streaks coming in, my
Friend. Oh, yeah. Hope they come in tonight. Patrick Williams, shocker here. He scored 15-plus points against the Spurs in back-to-back games. You don't want that to get going again tonight. You don't want Vučević to get going and Patrick Williams to get going. You don't want to start off on the road trip on the wrong foot Spurs. So keep an eye on Patrick Williams.
Keep an eye on the starting lineup too.
Yeah.
Because remember the last game we got to see Steph Castle get back into the starting lineup again, and it paid some dividends.
Yeah, I did. Hey, can we shout out the Spurs bench? They're averaging 40.1 points per game this season, 4th in the NBA. I'm aware of that. Yep, 4th in bench points.
That's the way the Spurs always want it.
All right, and there it is right there. All right, James, should be a good game tonight. I got the Spurs getting that W. What about you?
Yeah, they're breaking the 5-game losing streak. I think they get the dub tonight and move a couple of games over 500 again as they start off this road trip on the right foot up there at the United Center in Chicago.
And by the way, the West is all jumbled up right now. There is, outside of maybe OKC, maybe Houston.
You're like a game in the national games back of like 4th.
Yeah. I think Houston, OKC, I guess Denver, but that's
okay. I think OKC's starting to flex their muscle after 15.
How about you guys? Houston's doing okay, right? They're still,
they're on the same path as the Spurs. They are a team that they had higher expectations of going into last year that they obviously fell short of. I think the expectations were more realistically set this year, and I think they're outperforming those because of the development of those young guys in this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hope the Spurs will get the W, stay within striking distance of the play-in or maybe the playoffs. It's not out of the realm of possibility. This season in the West. That is, jeez, I can't believe I'm saying that. I never thought I would say that this season. Again, Spurs-Bulls tonight. Hopefully the Spurs get the W. He is James Pleasure with San Antonio Sports Star. Follow him on X at I Am Pleasure, host of Extra Innings. And also, let everybody know in San Antonio that I did not make a fake trade involving De'Aaron Fox and Steph Cat. That was not me. All right? Your colleague, Jason Minix, was quick to say it was me. It wasn't me, Jason. It wasn't me.
No, it was the tweet. He was just sorting the sites of the tweet that he was reading. I just took it a little further and went, this is Jeff's tweet, but the mock trade was that of the, aggregator Hoops Insight or whatever it was. That came up with that De'Aaron Fox.
I just wanted to have a reaction from fans. That's all. I just wanted to say, man, feast your eyes on this. That's what it's kind of like that. But what else about this? Yeah. Tell us about the Star. What's going on?
Oh, man. Starts bright and early. AJ and Rob. AJ's really finding his footing now. Been here for a few months, and used San Antonio, lives in San Antonio, been from Texas, but now San Antonio area. And he and Rob Thompson on the Morning Huddle have been crushing it. And then, of course, we got Jason and Joe on the Blitz from 2 to 6 every weekday as they take you on your drive home. And then once you get there, chill out with me for an hour on Extra Innings from 6 to 7 as we get you all caught up on, of course, the Spurs and the Bulls tonight and what happened against Denver over the last few days and what to expect as we're now officially 1 month away from the NBA trade deadline on February the 6th, by the way. Don't forget.
So excited. So excited, Jesus. So excited.
He's just knocking things all over the place. And don't forget, NFL playoffs are starting. And we got the college football playoffs underway where the Texas Longhorns currently reside. And what is the future of Mike McCarthy? There's so much to get into at the start this time of year. It is really, really one of the best times of year is, December, January, when you've got, basketball picking up, football climbing its apex. And then you got two different kinds of football, a never before seen 12-team playoff that we're all kind of just figuring out as it comes along. And of course, Wemby just now inserting his name into MVP conversations in just his second year.
Somebody asked the other day, like, what's it like covering Wemby when he does all that stuff on the court? I'm already at the point of my covering this team, like, yeah, okay. Seriously, like, it's like
it's cool to cover. Like, I still love winning games and seeing him do something amazing night in and night out. But it's, I know what you're saying. Like, the shine hasn't worn off of it, but the excitement of night in, night out of just like, oh, I'm going to talk to Wemby tonight, or, whatever those things are for reporters when you go to games, like that's kind of become more status quo and norm. Although the excitement of seeing him do something spectacular any given night is still there.
It's still there. Yeah, exactly. I'll be more shocked if he has like a overnight. I mean, like, what's going on?
Now.
Yeah, then it's 2023 nights, the near quad dubs, triple dubs. It's almost coming commonplace. It really is.
12 block nights.
Blocks, like, okay, yeah, sure. But I mean, nevertheless, yeah, you're right. MVP numbers he's putting up. It's a shame the Spurs record may not help him get into the serious talks of the NBA.
We're still early. I mean, they're right there in the mix. You start climbing from one of the fourth overall pick in the NBA draft to, a fourth seed in one season. I think that's an MVP, the legit MVP discussion to be had about one person helping to turn something around.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll see. That's why you got to check out the Star, San Antonio Sports Star 94.1, and subscribe to Locked On Spurs, where you get your favorite podcast. iTunes, Spotify, Kinspy, Plus app. You know where to go. Subscribe right now. Check out the Locked On Spurs newsletter. It's in the description below on the YouTube side of things. Subscribe right now. Get yourselves a nice little treat in your email inbox every single day. We'll be back tomorrow talking all things Spurs as the season continues. He is James Pledger. I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock in this episode of Locked On Spurs.